Hello. Well, maybe July here. It's even July 4th. I've got my windows closed right now, but I had them open all night. It's a very strange July for Arkansas. I'm not complaining. It was a strange spring, too. Very odd. Okay, this journal is June 15th. First of that day, Mayan day was 11 wisdom. This is interesting. I'm beginning to get used to, or at least not surprised, by these very early morning journals. This one is 46 minutes after midnight. Oh dear, I put 12:46 instead of 00:46. Okay. I had hoped that perhaps either a live one or the urge to record one of the 14 written ones, ready and waiting, would be the case. You may laugh, but I even open the webcam software sometimes, hoping for the impulse to carry through. But no such thing. Now, it's clear that yet another written journal wants to come through. Well, so be it. Far from me to resist the flow from center or from heart. Besides, writing this has lower energy requirement, and for the body right now, that's best. Where from here, folks? How are you doing with the energetic upgrades we've received thus far this year, this season? It's a time of integration for now, and will be going forward. Based on what we've already received, seems to me it will take the better part of this year just to anchor it in, to completely adapt to it. There's been a lot. Now, that's likely at least part of what's going on here with this body. The physical energy level is pretty low just now. Not sure why, but not at all worried about it either. Worry is just another word for fear, and I'm having quite a good time eliminating that from this lifetime, this am Godiment. Hey, if we am God, if we am meant to be that, well then, fear has no place in it. How could it? Of what would Source be afraid? Crazy thought, that. Yet, one day, we'll all know just how crazy it is for us to be likewise afraid of anything at all. We are that source, you see. Or maybe you don't yet, and that would be fine too. There is no more wrongdoing possible here, in this higher dimension we're now occupying. Those of us making that set of choices, that is, this higher dimension is available. Free will is honored here completely. It's also honored in 3D, but for those caught up in left brain living, that can be ever so difficult to perceive. It's all structured so that people believe they can be harmed and that others have power over them. Part of this is accomplished by making us believe that we are the body, which can be harmed, or the mind, which can likewise be harmed, manipulated. When we hold such beliefs, all unknowing that we are Source, then we subject ourselves to that. I don't know if beliefs are this powerful otherwise, but I do know that as Source or as divine beings, our beliefs wield that kind of power. They can truly limit our experience of life or greatly expand it. They hold within them the power of the divine. That makes it fairly clear that one of the clearest roads out from under the oppression, the manipulation of our experience and the rest, is to reclaim our awareness of our divinity, our divine nature. If it's by making us believe we are small, we are just the body mind, that we are bound, then shedding that belief should comprise at least part of the way out of the bondage. And it is. That's why identity is at the heart of any issue, of any way out, and of any one awakening. It isn't the mind that awakens. Well, that is, unless your desire is to be one of the enlightened egos running around teaching their brand of spiritual mastery. There are quite a few, just like the channelers, who didn't sufficiently tend to self and now before opening themselves up to receive. Now you take your chances with who they bring in, which is often not who the being proclaims it is. Self and now. It will clear up a lot of issues before they get a chance to become problems of any sort. Not that I even believe in problems anymore. I don't find any of them within heart, but that's another topic. Self and now. By sticking closely to these, so many pitfalls and challenges are mastered, and so easily. It's simply amazing how simple it can be. Self and now. Leave your brother, your sister alone. Let them walk their own path. That's none of your business, really. Once you're awakened, you can come back to it and take another look. I can assure you that you won't want to mess with them then either. Self and now. Now, go your own way, of course, but just do consider these, self and now, as having the potential to make any road easier and more enjoyable. Self and now. Better yet, self and now here. I just love the way now here is also nowhere. Such fun that is. Self and now here in heart. That's the whole thing in a lovely nutshell. Self and now here in heart. For me, it covers all of the bases. Certainly the fundamental, the important ones. Everything else is just seasoning or decoration. Self and now here in heart. That's my path, I guess. It certainly seems to encapsulate it. Of course, whole books could be written explicating that, but why bother? That's mind stuff anyway, and it's not likely you can put the infinity of what it means higher dimensionally into 3D words. Self. What is self? What does it mean? There you go into the whole thing about what self is not much more easily than what it is. And body or mind are not the answer. Self is both vaster and far deeper than that. This self that you are includes all of your other embodiments, those simultaneous lives you're living in the now. So even with just that bit of addition, you see how vastly greater than the body mind, which is how most define self, you become. So self by itself is one heck of a deep exploration, and ultimately something that just can't be defined. Felt, experienced, yes. Defined, not. Defining things is word games, mind play. It's mind that wants to turn the great mysteries into something it can move about on a chessboard, into nouns and verbs and things that can be understood and encapsulated by a dictionary definition. Self is no such thing. Self and now. The now is quite as mysterious as the self. This is one thing 3D mind hasn't a hope of wrapping itself around. Not if you gave it 1,000,000 lifetimes to get the job done. So be sure to drop down into heart, but of course, all the journals are only understood from there, period. So what is now? While we yet remain in 3D, I doubt we'll be finding a truly satisfactory answer to that, what is now. Just to know it includes every other moment in this lifetime is quite a lot. Imagine your body is being born just now, and it's dying now too. All is just now. Every moment of this lifetime, those already spent and those seemingly coming up, are just now. Now includes it all. Even those other lifetimes. All of them are only just now. Be in heart. Stay out of mind. Don't try to think about it. Imagine that. All those lifetimes being just now. Only do it from heart, where you have a much higher chance of success. Heart just knows things, but we forget about that, having been taught to rely on mind the way we have. Let's remind the self that that is just programming, and be about reprogramming the mind. Heart just knows things, and when we touch down there, we can just know things too. So all of that, every moment that ever was or ever will be, is also included in now. Don't let mind play with this one. It won't do anything but frustrate you. And even worse, if mind gets an idea about it that it wants to believe, you'll just have something else to reprogram or deprogram later on. Mind is not the tool for this job, and every moment is just now. I hope you can see that with time, we've done something here that is analogous to being in superposition. Only instead of being everywhere in space at the same time, as in holding superposition, we did that with time. So we are every when at the same time. Very much the same sort of thing. So let's take the next step in our little formula of light, which is here, self, and now here in heart. What of here? How can it be so very different, right? Quite easily, actually. I know many of you have either nailed it or guessed, just as now encompasses simply all of time, and from every possible angle, here does the same with space. Here gives us our superposition, our placement simply everywhere simultaneously. That's what this here represents. Remember to be in heart with me. This is higher dimensional, so it doesn't make sense in 3D. But that's okay, you're not limited. And that is no problem for us unless we slip back into the head, which is limited to 3D. The imagination, with which many are quite comfortable, is much closer to heart. Both heart and right brain have ways to imagine, so many are familiar with this already just by being imaginative sorts. No, I don't know why my voice does this, why it gets so very deep. And I'm not going to fight it anymore. I'm just going to let it be what it is. I really wish I could take each one of you with me on an excursion deep into heart, right there where you are. I'd love to show you how you yourself are well and truly both everywhere and every when at all times. You truly are, but head gets in the way of realizing it most times. It is only those who persist in their determination to get down into heart who will truly have the direct experience of this. But I want you all to know it is well and truly available to you, each and every one. It's really simple too. It's just how things are, only on the next layer up in your being. It's this way right now too. It's not something you have to wait for or earn. It's yours right now and already. It's just a matter of uncovering it for the most part. By the way we were all programmed, such things were rather thoroughly hidden away from us, no doubt intentionally. Yet, being source as we are, that is nothing to us. No one can keep us away from anything unless we allow it. So, with me, please feel free to simply shift your beliefs into giving yourself permission to be who you really are, and quit being limited to playing your role. You're the only one who needs to give you permission for this. You have loads of power and ability, more than you can even begin to guess, but you've got to engage it. You've got to use your free will. Some people have actually fallen so deeply in with this programming that they truly believe they don't have free will. That's a pretty tight cage to be in. Yet, even for them, it's pretty darn easy once they get around to remembering just who they actually are. As long as they choose to play that role, though, well, there is really nothing you or I can do for them, aside from being true to self and now here in heart. Being who and what you are, being true to the real you with its integrity and honor, that gives simply the rest of cosmos the greatest possible support, certainly including all those now living on Earth. Being who you really are anchors the greatest possible light right there where you are. And light begets light. It sets off a spark to which other hearts will by nature respond. The last bit of our sacred phrase, self and now here in heart, is the in heart part. So let's have a look. Now, I know I've been talking about it all the way through, but you know there are some that haven't yet touched down into heart. They are what I call mind addicts, those too afraid to let go of their tight grip on mind. Yes, I know. It's all we've ever known before waking up. But the womb is all the baby has ever known too. Wouldn't it be a great thing if it refused to give up its comfortable niche and be born? It's simply time to move on from what's always been. Besides, it hasn't always been. It's just been made to seem that way. Oh, it has been for some few thousand years, but that's not so very long. Not when by nature you are eternal. A few thousand years might as well be a nanosecond to that. It's meaningless, really, something easily dropped. So let's go even deeper into heart. Center in the chest, everyone. Breathe in and out into that inner space. This is quite a magical spot, you know. It's where you contact the self as being both in superposition and super time, being everywhere and every when present, all in the now here. This is that magical spot. It's more like a portal, really, taking you anywhere you want to go and anytime too, visiting any age. This is not your heart chakra. It's not that you even need to go anywhere either. The point is that you are already there, everywhere. Do let that sink in. You are already there. You are already then. You access it through heart. The cost of a ticket isn't that much. It's the cost of leaving mind out of it. Now, that turns out to be rather funny too, leaving mind out of it. Why is that? Well, you may be like me and discover that most of the reasons you'd want to explore the everywhere, every when, originate in the mind. It's so funny. Thus, once you finally find yourself well placed for a journey, you find yourself deeply centered within. You also find that all the questions are gone. That they vanished away. It's really laughable, and I'm looking forward to sharing some of this laughter with those who also discover this for themselves. For as I hope you know, I can't give you this experience. You have to make it your own by your personal use of free will. No, sure, I can point the way, even give you a bit of a guided tour, but I want you fully able to find your way all alone. I want you empowered, you see. Yet it's up to you to take your power back from the myriad layers and levels of things to which you gave it away over all those embodiments. We all have holdovers in this lifetime from experiences we had in other ones. And I'm discovering more and more that the lifetimes are sort of merging gently. The other ones are becoming ever more accessible as I take my power back to myself. So, being in heart, as the saying recommends, well, it's truly the heart of the matter, now isn't it? Without that, the self and now here part just isn't complete. Everyone would quite naturally try to make it via the mind. And all you get by doing that is the ego's imitation of reality, which can be pretty impressive, I admit, but still is not the real thing. Keep centering, my friends. Let it become a real habit to be ever heart-centered. This is the best way I know to come into true and deep contact with your own divine nature, your true identity. It's not that heart is your identity, is who you are. Like I said, it seems more of a portal than anything, or a magical space. Who and what you are is the all that is, so you're not going to find it locked down to any particular space. That just doesn't make sense. And yet there's magic in it too, this sticking with heart. There are divine experiences just awaiting your pleasure, but you're the one who has got to find your way in. Mostly the challenge will be in what you're leaving behind. That would be mine. Remember, though, not to blame the self for it. We were, one and all, programmed like that. There's just no shame in it, none at all. It just simply is what is. And by knowing that you are source, that you are divine, you re-empower yourself to take back more and more of your power, that which you had given away. No one came and took it from you. Come on, be real. If you are source, who is it that can come and challenge you or force you into simply anything? That's right, no one. Take responsibility, friends, for giving your power away. Now, something was coming to me there as I was sharing that paragraph with you. Let me see. By knowing you are source, that you are divine, you re-empower yourself to take back. Okay, so some were wanting to believe that they are source, but not quite feeling that they could do that yet. What came to me is you use your free will, you decide what it is you want to believe, and then you go to sleep at night, and you wake up the next day and you will find that you have integrated more of that belief. You see, your subconscious isn't like the conscious mind. It doesn't judge or evaluate things. It just accepts what it's given. It's your subconscious that you're working with that has more power and that you have more power over. So the conscious mind is fighting it, but that's okay because it's the subconscious you're reprogramming. So you keep using your will and choosing your beliefs, and trust and know that when you lay your head down, your body down to sleep at night, that gets deeper and deeper integrated just the way you want it to be because you are source. And you wake up the next day, that next step farther on your chosen path. Empower yourself. If you're going to reclaim your divine identity, you'll notice more and more responsibility start to just show up. You find yourself simply more able to respond to what shows up, and it feels really good. It's been made into a boring, heavy-duty word, but it's not that, not really. Instead, it's lots of fun and something that accompanies remembering the divine you that you are. It's got lots of great connotations, responsibility. So, lose the old definitions of that word. Have some fun with it instead. Okay, it's kind of funny that the journal took off into sort of defining the elements of the special phrase, self and now here in heart. That can't really be done, but at least something was given here. And when it comes in a journal, we can know that it has an energetic counterpart that has also been delivered. In other words, the support for the job at hand is also here. Defining being in heart is the biggest one of the lot anyway. It also makes me laugh to try. For myself, I wouldn't tackle it, but this isn't me, this is the journal's. And it comes in on the flow. Me, I'm just along for the ride. Writing is sacred. Did you know that? Writing from heart is truly sacred, and it's very empowering too. You'll find out stuff you had no idea was in there, so to speak. Heck, anything at all that comes from heart is sacred. Your every breath, your every footstep. You'll find out whenever you're ready. It's there for you. No one is stopping you, only you. And while that may sound a bit strange or off-putting, the flip side of it is that it's also terribly empowering. For if you are the only thing between you and what you want, then you have the power to deliver it into your hands. If you're in heart, you had no trouble following that. So if you got it, then just know that you found your way in. It doesn't always feel so very different. Sometimes it can be really subtle, but just keep your focus, a bit of your attention chest-centered. That's what it takes. As you persist in this, the whole thing will lay itself out for you. Then you'll be able to come back to the journals and get them on a whole other level that just wasn't there for you before. Of course, everyone comes to the journals initially from a mind perspective. How else would they? Unless they have already awakened, that is. And friends, if I had to put words to what awakening is, well, I would be content to call it making the move out of head and into heart-centered living. Once you make this move yourself, I think you'll agree. Waking up isn't all about bells and whistles, rainbows and lollipops. It's about finding your true self. It's about remembering just who you really are, always were, and always will be. And all of that is discoverable right there within. May you be abundantly blessed in every way. Namaste. It seems to me it will take the better part of this year just to anchor it in, to completely adapt to it. There's been a lot. Now, that's likely at least part of what's going on here with this body. The physical energy level is pretty low just now. Not sure why, but not at all worried about it either. Worry is just another word for fear, and I'm having quite a good time eliminating that from this lifetime, this am embodiment. Hey, if we am God, if we am meant to be that, well then, fear has no place in it. How could it? Of what would Source be afraid? Crazy thought, that. Yet, one day, we'll all know just how crazy it is for us to be likewise afraid of anything at all. We are that source, you see. Or maybe you don't yet. I had hoped that perhaps either a live one or the urge to record one of the 14 written ones, ready and waiting, would be the case. You may laugh, but I even open the webcam software sometimes, hoping for the impulse to carry through. But no such thing. Now, it's clear that yet another written journal wants to come through. Well, so be it. Far from me to resist the flow from center or from heart. Besides, writing this has lower energy requirement, and for the body right now, that's best. Where from here, folks? How are you doing with the energetic upgrades we've received thus far this year, this season? It's a time of integration for now, and will be going forward based on what we've already received. Hello. Well, maybe July here. It's even July 4th. I've got my windows closed right now, but I had them open all night. It's a very strange July for Arkansas. I'm not complaining. It was a strange spring, too. Very odd. Okay. This journal is June 15th. First of that day. Mayan day was 11 Wisdom. This is interesting. I'm beginning to get used to, or at least not surprised, by these very early morning journals. This one is 46 minutes after midnight. Oh dear, I put 12:46 instead of 00:46. Okay. I don't know if beliefs are this powerful otherwise, but I do know that as source or as divine beings, our beliefs wield that kind of power. They can truly limit our experience of life or greatly expand it. They hold within them the power of the divine. That makes it fairly clear that one of the clearest roads out from under the oppression, the manipulation of our experience and the rest is to reclaim our awareness of our divinity, our divine nature. If it's by making us believe we are small, we are just the body-mind, that we are bound, then shedding that belief should comprise at least part of the way out of the bondage. And it is. That's why I did, and that would be fine too. There is no more wrongdoing possible here in this higher dimension we're now occupying. Those of us making that set of choices, that is, this higher dimension is available. Free will is honored here completely. And it's also honored in 3D, but for those caught up in left brain living, that can be ever so difficult to perceive. It's all structured so that people believe they can be harmed and that others have power over them. Part of this is accomplished by making us believe that we are the body, which can be harmed, or the mind, which can likewise be harmed, manipulated. When we hold such beliefs, all unknowing that we are source, then we subject ourselves to that.